Whoa, whoa, whoa. Well, we're live, so it's too late. I said, are you ready?
Yeah. You had your chance. You had your chance, Joe.
Just because I didn't give you half a second to say I'm not ready.
Right. Right.
Are you okay? You good? Everything?
Yeah, I'm good.
Joe looks worried. He looks worried.
I know.
Okay.
Today is the 22nd. And all right, I'm ready. I'm about to start. We're doing this right now. Ready?
Indeed.
Okay. Good afternoon. Today is Friday, May 22nd, 2020. Today, we're going to be talking about exposure notification APIs, Apple glasses, and a whole lot more because this is the iMore show. Boom, boom, boom. And joining us on this lovely Friday afternoon, we have Georgia Dow, founder of westmounttherapy.com. Welcome to the show, Georgia.
Oh, so happy to be here.
So great to have you. And also joining us is assistant managing editor, Joe Keller. Welcome to the show. I almost called you Georgia Dow.
Two Georgia Dows.
Two Georgia Dows.
Well, then I want him to be wearing the tiara.
You can't get any better than that. Two Georgia Dows.
Well, it's good to be here as always.
Me, Lori Gill. That's how I dropped my name in there, by the way. And two Georgia Dows. That's all I want. Joe, do something about that.
Turn into a second Georgia Dow. I'll get working on that.
He's growing his hair.
I was just gonna say your hair is
there.
on track to being the second Georgia Dow, not the new one. You're not replacing her. I want two of you. You're gonna have to get some more giggles in though, Joe. You're gonna have to work on that.
All the pressure we put on poor Joe.
So the first thing I want to talk about is, again, this is this is not the only thing we're going to talk about. We're not going to spend the entire episode talking about leaks this time. But there was another really big leak, and it's something we've been hearing a lot about. And I know it's something that both Joe and Georgia are very excited about. So I want to get into it pretty quickly. This is the leaked information about Google Glass, which is the unofficial official name that it's going by. Another
Google
leak
Glass?
by John. Google Glass, not Google, or sorry, not Google. Okay.
I'm like, this is a leak I didn't even hear about.
Take 10 seconds off of what you just listened to and erase that. And then here we go again. Apple Glass.
Apple Glass.
Apple Glass. I'm so used to saying Google Glass because that's the only AR glasses we've been hearing about. Yeah. So Apple Glass, which it very similarly relates to Google Glass in name because it's not glasses, which I think is unusual. I think Apple glasses to me makes more sense than just Apple Glass. But I'm not a marketing expert, so I'm sure somebody had the right idea with it.
Well, see, Joe, this way they can make it a monocle.
Right? A single iPhone.
I love it. I would love it to be a monocle.
Tell me what you know about it, Joe. What's the deal? Do they look like future sci-fi glasses? Like are we gonna have these big machines on our face? What is this?
So, as described by John Prosser, these are sleek, and I'm not really sure what sleek is. Apparently, the prototype models that he's seen are plastic, but they could be metal in the future. The thing for me, there are a couple of things. The one, these glasses are supposed to be really fed data from the phone. They're really supposed to be like first generation.
Can I say something about us? So all the stuff we discussed last week, we were kind of on point with.
Yeah.
Is it just
we
me?
Kind of were.
Right? Because Lori, you were saying how probably it's going to be with the phone. Sorry, I apologize, Joe, for kind of stuff. But we were like a whole bunch of the stuff that we talked about was like, yeah, this is the way it's going to go. I was just impressed with us. I was like, yeah,
I thought so too. And
were here.
Nobody told us this stuff ahead of time. Yeah. We were just speculating.
Yeah. And it's first generation of this product. Doesn't really surprise me that it fed mostly from the phone. Mm-hmm. It does apparently have, at least at this stage, does apparently have LiDAR.
Mhm. You called
Uh,
that one.
yes, and apparently the lidar data from the sensor on the back of the new iPad is going to the Glass team.
Yep.
But the other big piece of this is the price. $4.99 is apparently the price Apple's targeting for this, which
Yeah.
and that's $4.99 plus the price of. I'm assuming Apple's going to charge extra for people like me.
Yeah.
You know, for prescription lenses, and you can
It is plus prescription, but we also talked about how would these have your prescription in them or be like Google Glass where it's just glass? And yes, we were right again.
And honestly, I prefer it this way. I prefer it to have it built in rather than having to clip something onto
your glasses already. Yeah, and that bulk.
Yeah, so just have that built in, and so $4.99 for that. I think that's pretty good, especially for what it definitely could be considering competition.
Joe, you brought something up to me that I am wondering about and considering. So, to me, someone who doesn't wear glasses regularly, that's not a comfort zone for me. I'm not used to that. So, I picture an AR glasses type situation to be something I put on when I go outside, walk down the street. I've got my directions here and there. Maybe, I'm at a restaurant, I get some notifications, things like that. And then I take them off too. Like in my mind, because I don't regularly wear glasses, this isn't something I wear all the time. But you, as someone who does wear glasses all the time, what I wonder is how comfortable do AR glasses need to be for you to want to wear that pair of glasses every day, all the time for your entire day? Because I have this. I mean, you wear them so like, don't they have to feel comfortable and fit right and look right, and everybody's face is different? How is that? How is the implication of, a 12 to 15-hour day of wearing the same pair of glasses? How does that work?
I mean, that is a big question right now. That's a big question right now. And it's hard to answer at this point. I wonder, will Apple have sizing options? They
probably not. Yeah.
Well, see that, and this is the question. This is the question on that is, glasses that you take them off and the wings bend. They bend out. But would Apple do something kind of like they do with the Apple Watch bands, where they have small to medium bands, and then they have medium to large bands,
right?
And they could do something similar with glasses where they make a couple of different sizes of frames. I've always kind of been an advocate of the idea that Apple would partner with actual glasses makers, but that appears not to be where we're going with this. But yeah, a lot of this remains to be seen. Like they're not supposed to come out until they're supposed to be announced maybe by the end of this year, but more probably early next year. And then they won't come out until late next year or early 2022. That's where we are.
It's quite a ways off. Yeah. At the earliest, we hear about them within the next 6 months, but don't get them for almost a year after the announcement. So yeah, it's definitely a long way off. So I have there's this company, I know that both of you have heard of them. They're called North. The company's called North, and they make a pair of AR glasses called Focals. So for me, a lot of the speculation that I had for what Apple's AR glasses might be like was based on what I already know to exist by North's focal glasses. And what they do is you actually have to set up an appointment and go in and get your glasses fitting. So it's actually for North, they don't have very many distribution centers. So for me, the closest place that I could go to get a glasses fitting is all the way in San Francisco, which I'm really lucky that they even have one there. But they have, I think they have one in LA, one in San Francisco, one in New York, and there's just a couple other places. They just don't have very many places for you to go in and get your fittings. But Apple has an Apple store, in every city practically. or at least a lot of people have easy access to an Apple store. I know there are still some areas where you have to drive a long ways to get to it, but I'm thinking that you get your glasses fitted just like you would if at a regular, when you go in to get your glasses, your regular prescription glasses, it would be something like that. And then for people who have prescriptions like you, Joe, I'm thinking that they might even have an on-site technician. What is a doctor for eyes?
No, that is
obstetrician.
No, I was just
That's
thinking
for babies.
Yeah,
But an
obstetrician
ophthalmic, ophthalmologist. There we go. Thank you.
Ophthalmologist. I can't believe I couldn't remember the name of that.
None of us could remember the
It's such an easy name. Lori, why couldn't?
I'm always talking about ophthalmologists. Why didn't
always? That's the second word out of our mouth. But I was wondering, like, if they had someone on site that could do fittings, which the
optometrist. Thank you, Annie.
Thank you, thank you. Annie's there to always save the day.
What even are we?
If they had someone just to do the fitting themselves, I don't know about this, but if they made, say, like the watch, as Lori was saying, 2 sizes, how many of us would that kind of swamp in? Would that be 80% of people could kind of be fit if the glasses were stretched out so that they could, fit different sizes, and they just had, pretty much the large and the medium of sizes? Would that hit? Because I don't see how they could afford to sell it, because it's new. It's going to be a really big deal. $500, and to be able to have personalized fittings. I just don't see Apple doing that. Apple does not, they give personalized care in how to use the technology, but they don't give personalized care on giving you the piece. So
that's true.
I just don't know how they could afford that. I think it would be amazing, but I just don't know if that would be within that price range. And Annie's mentioning kids. I think that this would be it'll be just for adults and not for kids. But if they had medium that were for, smaller faced people, maybe that would fit a whole bunch of kids. And again, these are not from I wouldn't be spending $500 glasses for kids to run around, because it'll happen, right?
Yeah, they'll break them.
They break glasses all the time. Glasses break. You would need Apple Care in this, because glasses are broken, sat on, left, dropped, flung off all the time.
Oh yeah.
So
will they use Gorilla Glass? Can you have prescription?
Would it be
Gorilla
made out of
lenses?
The entire
sapphire glass?
Glasses? The entire glasses would have to be made out of something that was indestructible, right?
Yeah.
Right now they're made out of plastic, right? But John was talking about how he doesn't know if that's just for the prototype, and they won't be made out of aluminum or steel or something else after that. But at least if it's plastic, which most glasses are, most sunglasses and other glasses, they don't come in sunglasses yet. Which is the other question.
Yeah,
but focals by North plastic.
They are wire and plastic. They actually, I think they have multiple options. They have one style that is all plastic and one style that has plastic along the top, and then wire rim on the bottom.
Around the bottom to it.
So but they've also been a business. They've been in business for a couple of years now, so they've had time. Their very first. The first one they made, the first design, it was all plastic. So they've actually had the benefit of being around long enough that they were able to design additional glasses since they've been around. So I think Apple might, if this takes off and is successful, I think the first iteration is going to be all of us with Ray-Ban style, which frankly, I love the Ray-Ban look. And I think that's a perfect design to be the design for everyone, because most people either really like the Ray-Ban design or they just don't have a problem with it. It's very universal. Most faces look just fine with a pair of Ray-Bans. It's very non-catchy designs. You know what I mean? Like circles and squares and angles and all that. Joe, I know that this is something that you probably have dealt with your whole life, of finding the right design glasses for your face. And I think the Ray-Ban design is one that it's just universally just okay for everybody. It doesn't offend or impress either way, one or the other. So it's a good starter for sure.
It's iconic without being standout.
Right.
Like
Right, which is what they would want. They would want something that would not scream, you
like
know.
the iPhone.
Yeah. Something that says, I am a pair of Apple glasses, but I'm also just this thing. Nothing special.
Yeah.
Don't punch me and steal them off my face.
No, that's good. That's definitely going to happen. That's definitely
Yeah.
going to happen. John didn't mention anything about location tracking on it to if they are stolen. Both lenses though are supposed to have functionality in them to be able
Which
to
I
have
found-
sensors, which is
I found that
awesome.
really interesting. Yeah. Again, the glasses that I've tested, the Focals by North, they only had projection on one side of it. So the idea that both lenses could be used as part of the sending you your notifications and stuff. That sounds really cool. Also, the gestures. So it's what it sounds like is they're going to use a little bit of the gestures that we've learned to understand. Yes. Yeah. So on the AirPods, there's like tapping and pressing and holding and things like that. I think the frame of the glasses are going to have that. But something else, Joe, are you about to mention? Apparently in front of the glasses is the wording that was used about gesture movement. What is that?
And so, I mean, I think this might be the primary use of LiDAR. If Apple, it doesn't sound like it has any cameras on it, which, yes, good. This is what I want.
Right.
But LiDAR might be useful for that sort of thing. And it probably would be useful for exactly that. You could hold your hand in front of your face and do like Minority Report gestures. And
I would love that.
I do love that. I'm not gonna lie. That sounds great.
You got a bunch of people standing on a sidewalk all wearing their
bugs.
They're just scrolling through their text messages, waving their fingers in front of their faces.
They're like swipe left, swipe right. Yeah.
Yeah. And so, I mean, there'd have to be a lot to account for, like where is your finger position in front of your eyes? And, is that different from where someone else's finger is going to be? Like, are you going to hold your fingers, say, to the right of your head or dead center, or, there's a lot to consider. And I think Apple might be able to nail it, this whole gesture thing.
Yeah, they might be. Yeah.
I'm excited. I'm excited to see it.
Yeah. Did you hear anything about it tracking where our eyes are looking, like with the Google Glass, which kind of knew where you were looking and could?
Yeah, I do not think that that's the technology that's intended to be used here. I think the location tracking on your phone the positional tracking on your phone is going to help the glasses determine, where you are geographically, but also like literally what, if you're facing north, south, east, or west. And then the LiDAR is going to be, that it might help like map out the building in front of you. For example, if you were standing on a street corner and you didn't know the address of the building that you were at, you could look at it potentially and the address would appear. And that would be using the location and geographical location from your phone, plus the LiDAR detection of the building shape and everything to map that out. I don't know that, but that's in my mind, that's how that would work, but not your eyes.
I'm thinking, and this is just me going too far, as I always do, but I would love if you could look on one of the 4 quadrants for email or text or maps or this, and then you blink to say yes, or 2 blinks to say no. Now, again, that's a lot of blinking, but relatively non-intrusive in comparison to gesturing, which I do get would probably be easier to implement. But this is more, I'm voguing in the middle of my, glasses, right?
Right.
Might be a little bit stranger than being able to just kind of.
Ooh. Well, there's probably Siri functionality tied into this.
True, but that, how I feel about that.
Yeah, definitely.
I'll be screaming and swearing.
Siri, close my notifications. I'm sorry, I can't do that right now.
Crack the glasses, stomp on them.
I just
Lori,
thought
you
of
had a
something.
light bulb moment.
I did. So what we're talking about is like, how the heck is this going to work? How are we doing gestures in front of face? Nobody's going to want to be, sitting on the bus going like this, right? That's just a little bit embarrassing.
A little.
What about you are looking at it with your eyes, but you're scrolling with your fingers? It's like what we do
like
with the
on the
trackpad.
side, like this kind of a thing.
Yeah, not here. It's our phone. We're doing it on our phone.
Oh,
We're doing all of
when
them.
I'm walking. I don't want to have I want the glasses so I'm not on my phone.
Yeah.
That'd be the only piece.
Then,
but if I'm scrolling on the side here,
so then maybe there's like there could be multiple
that would be okay
ways of using it. So you could use your phone when you're like, I'm looking at Facebook right now, roar, and it's on your glasses, but you're using your phone to do the swiping. And then, like you're saying, when you're out and about, you don't want the phone in front of you, but you do want to read that text message. That's where you can tap and swipe, maybe left and right to scroll, something like that.
Yeah, if it could scroll and then you could double tap, that wouldn't be that bad. I have to say that would be because it's kind of, you wouldn't really know. Like you couldn't do it on a date, right? Like they would probably know that you're not thinking about this. Take the glasses off if you're on a date. But that's the other part is how are we going to interact, right? Are they really looking at me? Are they staring up into my love, or are they busy reading their email? It's less intrusive than the watch, and the watch is less intrusive than the phone. And this would be better, but
still
now
a little
the data
bit
is in between us. And if they're prescription glasses, prescriptions are expensive, right, Joe? Like you're not going to want to just not use them.
How is that going to work with your health benefits as well? Like, do you get to take your, do you have, if you have eye insurance? I'm really sorry.
I love it. I think eye insurance is the right word.
Vision insurance, care. Vision care. If you have vision care, are Apple glasses covered by that? Even in part, because if you, like Joe, if you could get your Apple glasses for your your cost is like $200, but your insurance covers the rest of that. Whoa, how great would that be?
Yeah, and the thing about prescription, like sort of designer glasses, so like Ray-Bans, let's say you go to Ray-Bans for your glasses, and if you get a model that's just plain glass because you want glasses for style or something, that's going to run you up to say $200. If you want prescription, you're looking at $300 to $400 just to add a prescription.
So it's $300 to $400 on top of the $200, or your total cost is $300 to $400.
Your total cost is going up to $300 or $400.
So the assumption would be that your prescription will add somewhere between $100 and $300 additional dollars, depending on the features you need for it.
Yeah, and since we're talking about Apple Glass, I'm probably looking at $100 to $300 additional dollars above.
Yeah, because there's things like just the prescription, and then there's the coating, the non-reflective coating. There's all these different things. Progressive lenses. Yeah.
Okay, so this is just my weirdness, and I might be wrong to ask this question because maybe there's a very basic answer, but the screen is projected onto the lens of just a regular glass lens. It's nothing special in the glass itself, but I had heard that you can't see it from the opposite side, so the other people aren't going to be knowing what you're looking at.
Right.
How is that possible?
It's very interesting technology. And for anybody listening who is questioning this too, I highly recommend you check out Focals by North, because they use that exact projection technology. It's almost like a transparent mirror, as if, so I don't want to throw you off by saying that there's going to be this solid chunk in your eye that you can never see through, because that's not the case. But it's this tiny It's almost okay.
The little
Here's how you can
projector?
describe it. You know how when oil gets in water and there's
Mhm.
this sort of almost
Film.
rainbow effect on the water, but you can still see right through it. That's what that's like on the inside, not on the outside. On the
How is it
outside,
that it's only on one side? And I know Lori, I actually, when I was looking at the Focals by North, I saw a picture of Lori wearing, Focals by North. I'm like,
what are
Lori!
you
I
gonna
wanted
do?
to shout out. But so how is that only on one side?
It has to do with they
The
put this
film.
little tiny projector film,
Huh.
right? But it's a transparent projector film, but on the inside there's the rainbow coating. I don't know the exact terminology, but it's that. And
Huh.
that's where the projection it captures that prism of light and reflects it projects that information back at you. But on the outside you don't even see a little rainbow coated dot or anything. You don't see anything from the outside. It's only from the inside that you see that stuff. It's very interesting technology
Very
that I'm
cool.
pretty impressed that it exists at all. And I love to hear that we have no idea what it's going to be like, but that's my guess, is just based on what the Focals are like. Is this
Right.
this is what I wanted Apple to do. When the first time I'd heard about Focals, I thought this is great, and it is supported on iPhone, but it doesn't have the same all the same kind of like great things that you can do with it on Android. But if I was an Android user, I'd be wearing Focals by North all the time. It's fantastic. The concept of it is fantastic. So the idea that Apple is going to do something like this for my iPhone, I'm so excited about this. Like, it just seems like it's going to be so much fun.
It's weird.
It does.
We talk about, we're excited about new phones, the new iPhone 12 and 12 Pro and all that sounds awesome, but we're really excited about this device that's going to let us keep our phones in our pockets more and keep us from using our phones more.
And hopefully I'll have indoor and outdoor maps, so I won't get lost as often.
Oh yeah,
And
indoor
let's
maps
go
at the
even
mall.
further. What if
Yes.
it works with the Apple Tile?
Yes.
And then we end up being able to find our children and other people as they're in a mall, and you know where everyone is, so you don't have to worry about them.
So you're calling up your Find My map in front of your eye, and you can see your kid like wandering through the yes. That would be
I
so
would
great.
love that.
Or not even that. You have something attached to an Apple tag, and then you're like looking around, and it's like a video game, like a giant, like an AR, like beam of light is shooting out of the ground, and you head towards it. And
Yes.
That's where your thing is.
I love that.
I love it. We could even go further, and this could be used for exercising, where it's up to you to actually Pac-Man eat the things as the ghost behind you is following you, so you keep on running. I would
run
be
to
there,
the next dot.
right?
Oh, and when you
we
look
live where
behind
they
you,
have
there's
the glasses that only you could see the monsters that with the glasses on, and if you look behind you and there's like a zombie, I would keep on running for that.
Yeah, that
Like
would be so much fun.
Like a little like World of Warcraft style objective pointer. Like, this is how far you said you wanted to run, so you got to get to here.
Yes.
You did this to yourself.
Yes.
That's the safe point. If not, you get eaten.
That's the arrow that's like bouncing and bouncing until you get to it.
Get to this point, or your entire workout progress for the day is wiped out.
Yeah.
Your ring is empty.
I love this. I love the speculation. This is so much fun. Like, this doesn't even exist yet. Apple didn't announce anything, but just from the information that we've heard, we can come up with so many wonderful things in our mind that we want. Which, by the way, one more leak / rumor that came out about Apple glasses, that there is supposedly a Steve Jobs Heritage Edition, which is going to be a pair of Apple glasses that is designed as Steve Jobs glasses, and that's going to be a special, more expensive version, which makes me think they do have plans to make different designs for different people, depending on what you want. If they could do a Steve Jobs version and a Ray-Ban style version, they can do a bunch of versions.
Yeah.
I wonder, I know, I heard that the frames are not very expensive to make, actually. Like, there's a huge upsell on the frames. They're all made by one company. Anyways, so I guess if frames really aren't that in Apple's, like compared to phones, like it is really just a frame and then they hook on the little tech onto it. Maybe they could do that and we end up with the choice of, you know, many different choices.
Yeah, there's a I heard about this. Was it this morning? Was it last night? Who knows anymore? What is time? And I was thinking about it, and I think John Prosser, not to diss John Prosser at all, but I think John Prosser believes this, and I think his sources probably believe this. I don't know that Apple really believes this.
Believes what? Sorry, believes what?
That there's going to be a Steve Jobs Heritage Edition. That just feels really weird to me.
Feels like a stretch. Feels like a stretch.
Yeah, even, it's been almost 10 years since he passed. It still feels like it would be a little ghoulish. I don't know.
Would you buy them?
Not the Steve Jobs edition, no.
Yeah.
I think that you also have to have a very certain face type to, like, you have to look like John Lennon or like Steve Jobs. It's not that easy to pull them off. So I just don't know how many would be sold. And I think that everyone would be like Steve. Like, I think that they would, because they look so different and so much like Steve or John Lennon, like whoever you wish to, put that with, I think that it would be very noticeable.
You got Steve Jobs, you got John Lennon, you got Daniel Radcliffe, who played Harry Potter.
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
Right. And so you end up being.
It's really Harry Potter too, not Daniel Radcliffe, because it was the Harry Potter look, not the Daniel Radcliffe look.
That's true. Yeah. I'm sure he's never put those glasses on unless he's going into something that he has to put those glasses on after wearing them.
Yeah. We should move on, but one more is Stephen Perry. I just wanted to bring this up too, because this is something that I questioned. Stephen Perry in the live chat has asked whether, like, how difficult is it going to be for people who aren't used to wearing glasses all day to wear glasses all day. So Joe, this was something that I was asking you about earlier, which is exactly that. So for you, you're willing to wear glasses all day long. You're used to it. That's just part of your life. But for me, I can't imagine having glasses on my face for 12 hours a day. So in my mind, how I picture what it will be, it's not like a watch that you put on and wear all day. For me, it would be something that I put on to use it. So I'm, it's
like
I'm going
reading
out,
glasses or sunglasses.
Right. Yeah. I need to use I want to use my AR glasses for a reason. Therefore, I'm putting them on my head and then I put them away. That's what I think I would do. I bet they will be designed to wear all day long. But as somebody who's not used to wearing glasses all day long, I could see myself not doing that, just not wearing them 24 hours, 12 hours a day.
So one of the things this actually makes me think of is Westworld, the HBO show. And this season, light spoilers for Westworld season 3. This season they went into the modern world of humans in like 2058 or whatever. And one of the common props that they had was a bunch of people had glasses, and they were like this sort of thing where you put glasses on and information would be displayed on the face. And the other thing that these glasses would do is essentially FaceTime calls, like holographic FaceTime calls where they'd put a person in front of you.
The future is here.
Right. And first of all, I think it'd be really cool if Apple could manage like AR avatars, like Memoji, but during FaceTime calls for the glasses. That'd be neat. But the characters on the show, they would regularly put on the glasses like when they wanted to know something or like take a call or something, and then they'd take them off when they didn't need to wear them.
Yeah.
And I think we're looking at that sort of situation.
Yeah. So then for somebody who wears glasses like you, would you just switch back and forth, or do you think you would just leave them?
No, I think I'd probably wear them all the time.
Just leave them on. Yeah. Interesting.
The only piece I think about is the intrusiveness of our technology. So it's kind of easy to put away my phone or not look at my watch. Like, it's not on, it doesn't buzz or beep or do anything in my watch, pretty much. It's a watch. But these glasses you would be constantly interfacing with the world through them.
Right.
And so the manner in which we are not able to unplug from our technology that easier is my fear, my worry, is
Oh,
that
no.
you'll know when
More
that email
addicting.
comes in. Hopefully you'll be able to turn off, just like you did with the watch. Apple's pretty good about knowing that, you want to be able to curate your experience with your technology, and that's a very personal decision. But still, you're going to be getting this information that's going to be interrupting our day. Like, already our technology interrupts our day. It's supposed to make our life better, and in lots of ways it does. But as with everything, it can be used for good or ill. But I think that people think that they want to have all of the information at their fingertips, where really it just slows us down. And so I think it would be harder, especially if they're your prescription glasses, to stop that.
So this is where I think something like do not disturb really comes into the picture. If I'm Apple, the side of the glasses is supposed to be like touch sensitive, correct?
Yeah.
I would actually have two touch sensitive areas, one that's more like a scroll area, and then one maybe back towards the ear, or maybe even behind the ear, that is I touch it and do not disturb turns on, and like a little translucent moon icon goes like right up here where I'm never looking in my glasses, but I can to see, oh, hey, I haven't seen a message in a while. Oh, do not disturbs on.
Yeah.
Just, so it's out of the way of my immediate vision, but I can always look at it. But that way I'm not getting bombarded constantly. And then that'll like shunt notifications off to my watch or my phone or, whatever system I've got.
But then, relating to what you're saying, Georgia, Joe, that's the good person, the good boy who sits down at the dinner table, turns it off. But we have, when it comes to technology, we kind of all have a little bit of an addictive nature, in that we've got the FOMO, like, what if I miss a message? And so like, I think you're right, Georgia, that it's going to become very difficult for us to make that decision to turn on do not disturb in order to walk away from our tech. Like there's screen time is specifically designed to remind us that we're using our phones too much. And now we have this technology on our face that's going to make it so we never ever have to stop looking at a screen in one capacity or another. So yeah, that's a big deal to think about, like how is our future going to work with this, for sure. Yeah.
Yeah. And then if it's prescription glasses and kids go to school or go to university, and you can have information on the
Right. You
glasses,
turn your phone off while you're taking a test.
and then can they tell them that you have to take them off?
Mm-hmm.
It's going to be, there'll be some interesting little,
yeah, we'll see how this all plays out.
That'll go. I'm still really excited.
Yeah,
I'll definitely be on the bandwagon to pick them up, because sucker for tech.
What about iOS 13.5? Georgia, did you update?
Are you kidding? Did you really even ask that? No.
And the funny thing is, Georgia never updates.
Never update. I'll wait. If there's something really good, there's something in there that I'm like, ooh, I want this.
Here's the thing that I think is really good, but you may not think is really good, which is that exposure notifications APIs have finally launched with iOS 13, and now it's available for Android in the Google Play Store. I don't actually know how that works, but apparently the update pushes out automatically for Android. It's not an update that they have to install. It just appears. I don't know exactly how it works.
I think it's an update to what's called Google Play Services, which is it's just a sort of background stuff that helps apps work on the phone.
Okay. So sorry. So it's not going to be like, oh, outbreak over here, run the other way. It'll just be gathering data.
Well, no.
So the API that I did want to talk about this a little bit to help people understand, because my mom had asked me about, she said, how do you turn it off? How do you disable it? Because she didn't understand what is right now at this moment, what's actually happening. So I want to just quickly kind of run down. It's an API, which means it's like a set of instructions for a developer to be able to make an app that uses contact tracing. So right now, there's no such thing. Actually, I think South Dakota might be the only state in the United States that has an actual contact tracing app. But other than that, like, it doesn't exist. There's no app that uses contact tracing yet. So what's happened is Google and Apple have made it so that your government officials can hire some health official app developer to create a contact tracing app, which apparently in the United States, a lot of states aren't even going to do anyway. So here we are with that.
So it's like the call blocker apps. You know, Apple provides an API so that developers can make apps that will screen your calls and in some cases your text messages, and you know, scam callers and whatnot won't get through. But Apple doesn't provide that functionality on its own. They don't have a call screener or scam blocker or anything like that, other than the block button that they have on contact sheets. So this is the same thing. Your phone right now, like if you're updated to 13.5 and you haven't downloaded an app that supports the API, which I don't even know if any of those apps are out yet, your phone isn't collecting this isn't just collecting this data right now. The app will be transmitting and receiving this sort of data using the API, but the phone's not doing it itself. And by default, I should note that by default, exposure logging is turned off, and you can't turn it off or can't turn it on unless you have an app that uses the API.
Right. So like, even if you're like right now, Joe, when you try to toggle the switch to on, it
just
nothing
doesn't
happens.
work.
Yeah.
It's just,
yeah.
it is grayed out.
Right. Yeah. Oh, you can, there's not even, it just isn't.
It doesn't even bounce back. You can't even interact with it.
Yeah. And that's because there isn't an app yet that will allow for that to exist. So I just wanted to quell the fears of anybody out there who thought that the exposure notification API is the thing that's tracking you. That's not the case. It's just a set of tools, or it's a set of instructions, if you will, for developers to actually make that happen. And then, so again, contact tracing, that is part of stopping the spread of an epidemic or a pandemic. It's existed, for all time, as long as they've understood that there's this thing that spreads and we have to figure out how to let people know that it happens. So, but what usually happens is that there's a bunch of health workers who are enlisted to go track down. So they ask the person, Billy, where were you, between the 25th and the 31st? And then Billy says, okay, I went to the grocery store, I went to the movies, I went and visited my mom. And then these health officials then go to that grocery store, they go to that movie theater, they call that person's mom and they say, somebody has tested positive for this particular virus that's easily spread. We just want to let you know that happened. We recommend that you self-quarantine. So the contact tracing app is intended to replace, or at least ease the burden of the physical person that would have to go out and physically find all these people and take care of that. And there's definitely a lot of issues of it not necessarily working that well. There's this really great article written by Andrew Martonic. We'll link it in our sheets, that really does explain exposure notification APIs and explains what contact tracing apps are intended to do, some of the consequences of how they work and how they might not work very well, and additional information about data that's collected through just off of the Bluetooth versus whether or not your government officials will add additional contract or location tracking things. A lot of information in it. It's very, very well written, and we'll link to it so that you can read more if you don't already know about it. But some of the concerns that Andrew writes about are things like, because it just uses Bluetooth beacons to ping and ping and ping and ping and ping. That's all it's doing, right? It's just saying within 6 feet, somebody has stood next to you. Within 6 feet, someone has stood next to you. And then that information is just kind of sitting there saying, throughout the day, at some point, this phone was within 6 feet of another phone. Then step 2, somebody within that set of days, they upload the information that they tested positive for COVID-19. And then you get that notification that you stood within 6 feet of somebody that has tested positive for COVID-19 in the past 14 days. But some of the problems that come up is, well, what if that was like two people in two cars that were within 6 feet of each other? You didn't talk to them. You didn't breathe the air that they were in. They were in their own car. So, you don't have to self-quarantine when something like that happens. Or what if it's, just people quickly passing each other on the street? They're not interacting with each other. Or there's like any number of circumstances under which, just because two phones happen to be within 6 feet of each other doesn't mean you have to self-quarantine for 14 days because you were near somebody that tested positive for COVID-19. This could cause fear. Honestly, I think that it's better for us to be a little bit afraid so that we do, help stop the spread. But at the same time, if within the last 2 weeks, I received a notification on my phone that I had been within 6 feet of somebody that had tested positive for COVID-19, I would be terrified. I'd lock myself in my house. I would disinfect everything. I wouldn't talk to anybody. I'd be filled with anxiety because who was it? Because you don't know who it was. You don't even know where it took place. You just know that it took place. And that, I think, can cause a lot of stress and anxiety for people. So it definitely seems not perfect. I'm coming around on your end a little bit, Georgia. I do think that it's important that we do this in order to stop the spread, but I definitely am understanding a little bit more about the it's not perfect. It's definitely far, far, far from perfect.
Yeah, I'm not gonna do my usual rant. Like we need to track it. I think that for some people they need to be a little bit more careful than some people are. I think we're so stuck with being inside. It's warm, it's beautiful. People are like, I want to run wild and have fun and be free again.
See Ohio,
and it's something
weekend.
and people, you can't see it. It's really hard. Again, there's a little bit of cognitive dissonance. We want to be free. Like it's a nuisance to believe that this is happening, and it's weird. And this happens so very rarely. It's a very difficult thing to grasp, and you don't see it. So I fully understand those that are like, this is all made up by, it's a world, the whole world has made this up just to control politics or whatever is happening. I get that, because it is so difficult. It's so scary. It's so very rare. It can't be seen. If you do not have a degree in this, how can you be sure? You don't know of this. And so in some cases, I think for some people, this could be very anxiety filling, and may not be representative of an actual danger. And I think that for others, it is really important that we do check and look and keep on looking at the data of how does this spread, what is happening. So it's not really that I'm against tracking what is happening. It's really just that, all of the other pieces to it that could cause other problems that, we're dealing with, just because if you're opting in, then those that are opting in, you don't have to be as worried about as those that would not opt in the first place.
That's definitely a falsehood. And that's so true. Is just because you opt into contact tracing, that doesn't mean that the spread has stopped. That doesn't mean that you can go out to the bar and, surround yourself with 100 people. Like that doesn't mean you're not suddenly protected. It's not, a surgical mask in technology form, right? Like,
yeah.
That's so true. And that there might be a little bit of a false sense of security in this idea that we can just flip a switch and then suddenly, well, now, if somebody is sick, I'll know about it. Well, not really, because they don't necessarily know that they're sick until they've been tested for it,
which could be 2 weeks later.
And then there's the issue with the asymptomatic people, which again, that person's not even going to go to a doctor to get tested. They're asymptomatic. They don't know they have it. They're spreading it around. You were in the same room with them, hugging each other, in the mosh pit, and you didn't know that person had it because they didn't know that they had it. Your contact tracing app isn't gonna tell you that.
I love that your rock and roll came out there, hugging each other in the mosh pit.
The thing about contact tracing, I think, is it would be a much better tool if we were talking about ready access to testing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes.
Basic,
Yes.
on-demand testing
Mhm.
everywhere, and it's just not there. And there's a certain, I'll say, governmental fallibility at play here that prevents things like contract tracing from being as effective as they could. It would, yeah, we're lessening the capability of these tools by not doing everything we can to test as many people as we can.
100%.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
In 13.5, there is something else that I'm kind of excited about.
Yes. Yes.
And this one is just, this is off of the, COVID stuff, but I've done the group FaceTime, and it's a strange experience. I don't know how you guys feel about group FaceTime, because so you have all these squares, and you're all a square of different sizes, but they're moving and growing and getting smaller in this very ergonomical, breathing-ish kind of feeling, and I found it really disturbing.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know. I thought this is not very professional. It looked like they made it want to be fun and whimsical. And sometimes Apple goes that way, right? Like the Memoji and stuff like that. And you can like you're like, there's no use in this. Like, just fix Siri. But there are some people that love it, but I'm like, okay, give it up now. And so they're working on fixing, the controls on it.
Right. Yeah. So, Joe, I don't know how you feel about it. I never really even paid that much attention to it. So I definitely think it's a personal experience. Like, some people like you, Georgia, who are just like, this is kind of weird the way they're kind of like little bubbles that float. And then the person that's talking gets zoomed in, and then suddenly, yeah.
The sound that I hear when they.
Yeah, it's called, so the feature, Apple calls it automatic prominence, and there's now a setting in iOS 13.5 that lets you turn automatic prominence off so that everyone is just in sort of a tiled group. It reminds me of,
that seems more professional, because again, now with Zoom and everything else, they're kind of having to compete. Yeah. What are the numbers? Have they increased the amount of people that you can do?
Well, I think, can't you have like 200 people in a FaceTime? Wasn't it a crazy large
32.
number?
It's 32.
Okay, that's not that much.
It's still not up to a level where they could use this for classroom.
Right.
No, I think Apple still sees FaceTime as more of a personal communication tool rather than
instead of a larger
or education tool.
Right. Yeah.
I'd like to see. I'd actually thinking about the future in maybe iOS 14. Or iOS 15, I'd like to see them do things like make FaceTime rooms that are just kind of like, sort of, Google does this with Meet and what are Hangouts or Hangouts Meet, or where you can have like a standing room that it's the same link that you can all go to at a regular time. I'd like to see a similar tool from Apple, at least for things like group messages. They made launching into group FaceTime pretty easy, where you can do that directly from an iMessage group thread.
Which I love. I did that with my family. We were talking about something important, and I was like, we all need to be talking face to face. And I just hit the FaceTime button.
Love
and
it.
Then suddenly we were all talking. But my mom was like, what did you just do? It was great.
Magic, Mom. I did
was in the bathtub. Stop. Yeah.
And so, yeah, I'd like to see that sort of tool. But this thing in 13.5, I think you're right, Georgia. It does make it feel a little more professional. Google, I think, just added a tool for doing the same thing in a Hangout, where right now, or for a lot of people, Google Hangouts, they'll make the person who's speaking really large. But now you can, we call it Brady bunching. Now you can Brady bunch and tile everybody in, and that you just get a little like green underline when you're talking.
Yeah.
Right.
Which again, if you're dealing with social anxiety, that's a terrifying thing of if you cough or something, suddenly you just like now everyone knows you just blew your nose or coughed and forgot to hit mute.
Yes.
Uncontrollably sneeze and explode snot all over my camera.
Oh, here's
and then it's blown up for everyone to see.
Oh,
Here's the thing that I've always like my social anxiety when it comes to being in remote conversation in these group very large group rooms like Zoom and Hangouts meets. It was always somebody like, you know, the person presenting the meeting would ask a question and I purposefully didn't want to be the last person to answer because I knew that my face would be the face that that person stared at until another person made a noise.
Oh,
so
I would yes,
in a conversation. And now I don't have to do that. I'm not afraid of being the last face that spoke and therefore the last thing that someone's looking at. It's like
it's true.
It's like we're in a group now instead of face to face. You know, it makes such a difference.
It's so true. And I know that piece because when we used to do it ourselves for the podcast, I would always remember that when someone's done speaking, they're only going to see me if I was the last one that spoke. And I'm like, to make sure that I'm not like suddenly droned off or like searching for something else at that time because I'm the only interaction that they're getting. And I don't want to give them the thought that this was, they're saying something that's really horrible. And so I know that feeling of being the one that's stuck on the screen.
Static, non-zooming tiles really gives it more of a we're around a conference table kind of feel.
Yes.
I like that. Yeah.
I like it. Yeah. And have you actually had the opportunity to use it, Joe? Do you know how it looks?
I don't FaceTime.
Especially with groups of people.
I don't talk to people. It's this.
This is your talk to people.
This is me talking
This is your
to
week full.
I'm gonna have to give it a try and FaceTime with my family again. There's a couple more things to talk about. One of them being the Face ID. There's now a shortcut if you're using Face ID, which is funny because I've had the iPhone SE for so long right now. Like I'm still on iPhone SE, so I don't have Face ID anymore. It's kind of funny, but you can quickly. So Joe, if I understand it correctly, you swipe up from the bottom of the screen, but if you have whether you have a face mask on or not, if you're wearing a face mask and it doesn't recognize your face, it immediately switches you to the passcode screen, right?
Yeah.
Not
so
immediately, but
not immediately.
Well,
I'm swiping a few times in thoughts that it will figure it out. So
But Georgia, you haven't updated to iOS 13.5.
Oh, that's true. My apologies.
So I think this is the fix. I think that's the fix.
Yeah. So here's what's going on. Face ID is when your screen is on your iPhone. Face ID is essentially always looking for your face and to authorize it. So the basic idea is you take your phone out of your pocket, and as you bring it up to your face, your phone unlocks so you can swipe to open your phone. Now, if you're wearing a mask, that Face ID is prevented. But with iOS 13.5, Face ID is still prevented from unlocking immediately as it detects your face. But when you go to swipe up, instead of Face ID trying to authorize your face again, because that's what will happen if it doesn't see it the first time, it will go straight to the passcode screen. So you will see that you will swipe up, and instead of it like vibrating and the lock given a little jiggle, it goes right to the number pad or keypad, whatever your passcode is. And then you can enter your passcode from there. I've been using this actually for a couple of weeks, especially at the grocery store, because I keep my grocery list in a note. And I'm wearing a mask. I'm wearing a mask. Wear your masks.
Please wear your masks. It's for others.
Yeah. And so it's not as fast as Face ID or what Touch ID would be, but it's a lot better than it was. And I have switched from using an alphanumeric passcode to a 6-digit passcode. I would, if you can also switch to a 4-digit passcode. You can make it really short if you want to. Yeah, but I would advise against that. I would advise a six-digit passcode is orders of magnitude more secure than a 4-digit passcode.
That's very true.
It's true, but I'm just so frustrated. I love that though, because I am that person that forgot I'm wearing a mask and I'm going
Yeah.
I'm
Why is that
refreshing 4 times before I figure
instead
out.
of actually typing in your passcode, this is what I've seen people do. They pull their mask down from their
No.
face, touching their face as they pull the mask down to use Face ID. Like, no, don't
You
do
see,
that. Just enter your passcode.
I can't even say I'm doing it for health. I just forget that I'm wearing a mask and I'm frustrated of it not getting it. I'm like, what's this infrared? Like, hello, like figure that, like I'm just like bloop, 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 bloop. And then I'm like, oh. And I'm like, yeah, give me the bloody passcode.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I'm typing it in all
You're going to
angry.
be so happy when you do finally update to 13.5 because that's going to make that process. You're going to forget, but instead of you swiping, it's immediately going to go to passcode. So you're immediately be like, oh, that's right. I'm wearing a face mask. Type.
I can guarantee you the next time it happens, I will immediately upgrade. That will be enough for me. And I love the other stuff.
In
I
the
love
store.
Oh yeah, I'll be like upgrading. Just gonna
Yeah.
wait. I might forget the eggs, but you know, compared to everything, I think that just with helping facilitate people wearing masks, so hopefully they don't pull it off, or
Oh, yeah.
you know, just be really angry, which is what happened to me. You
Yeah.
know, the emergency services and the other stuff is really great,
Mhm.
but I think that that's going to be very helpful for people.
Yeah, definitely. One more thing, we're almost at the end of the hour, but I wanted to also bring up the fact that the Apple launched its 2020 Pride bands. There's 2 different bands. I actually haven't purchased them yet because they're the rubberized, the elastomer, the silicone bands, silicone
Fluoroelastomer.
bands.
Yes, fluoroelastomer. Yes, that's it.
Fluoroelastomer. Thank you.
Yeah,
And that's not my favorite band style.
it's
I
not my
actually
favorite
prefer
band either.
I
But
prefer
the
the split
Nike
loop.
one, the Nike
I
one
know.
is sweet
It's
looking.
very pretty.
It is
They're both
so
gorgeous.
They're both stunning,
Yeah.
but the Nike one is this classic with a little bit of flash.
Right.
Mhm.
It's
I
very
totally want it
yeah.
badly. I'm waiting for Renee to get it so that it can
So
suddenly
you could
appear. I'm
So
like,
that
when
you
did
can
you get
accidentally
your,
end
I
up
mean
with it.
my Nike band?
Yeah.
I've done it where I've said, he's gone to me like, hey, look at my watch band. When I found out that the larger watch size and the smaller watch size, the bands still fit each other. And so I borrowed it. I took the watch and then I switched bands. So I put on the watch band on my watch and I gave it back to him. He didn't notice for a really long time that
Or
I'd
he
stolen.
noticed
No.
noticed and was polite enough to not tell
Oh, no,
you.
he was really angry after when he found it. He's like, what? Take me back my watch band. What are you doing stealing my watch band, right? I'm like, oh, did that happen? Oh, I'm so sorry.
The man who has so many watch bands doesn't even notice when one is missing.
Yeah.
When he's wearing it and all proud of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. So there's the 2 new watch bands this year. And then in relation to iOS 13, let me run down this crazy thing that happened with watchOS 6.2.5. So 6.2.5 launched and it included the 2020 Pride faces, right? There were 2 different designs. It's a wider band and with a slightly more pastel color to it. That's the 2020 design. And there were 2 of them, but in the betas of 13.5, there were 4 additional rainbow themed colored customization options for the gradient, the California, the numerals mono and numerals duo. So it's 4 additional ones. And they're beautiful rainbow things. And they didn't show up in 6.2.5 because iOS 13.5 hadn't updated yet. So a bunch of people were like, oh, we lost it. Then 13.5 came out and there they were in the watch app on your iPhone. But when you tried to add it to your watch, they didn't show up. It was so frustrating. I was like, I added it. Why didn't it work? But guess what? I just tried it and it showed up. I know it's
beautiful.
Look at how gorgeous that is.
That is, I love the gradient.
Yes.
See, I'm using the one on the California face.
This one, the California.
Oh, that is so
that's really
pretty.
good.
That is so pretty. I'm in.
They're so good. Like, so you definitely have to update to 13.5
That's it.
and
Rainbows,
update your Apple Watch too.
rainbows, and unlocking my phone faster is all. Yeah, heck, let's be
Yeah.
honest. You had to have rainbows.
Yeah,
Yep. There you go.
Great rainbows, my favorite.
I don't think
Yeah.
I ran into the problem because I downloaded the 13.5 GM before the actual
So
release.
you didn't even experience the issue with it not showing up on your Apple
Yeah.
Watch? Yeah. There's a lot of like they went missing, and they actually did, but then they came back. So
Oh, those are so pretty.
yeah, they're
that's
so much
it.
fun.
That was
They look so good.
You know what I'll be doing today?
Yeah. All right. So that is it. We've come down to the end of the hour. It's been a lot of fun. We talked a lot about the Apple glasses that may or may not be coming sometime at the end of next year or early 2022. We talked about all the new iOS and watchOS things that are coming up, and a little bit about contact tracing. So it's been quite an interesting Saturday morning discussion. I really enjoyed it. I'd like to thank everybody who jumped into our live chat. You guys had lots of things to say today. It was really great. We really enjoyed reading all of the comments that you had and your opinions on things and your insights and things like that. So that was really great. Thanks for joining us and chatting. It's wonderful to see you there. Thanks to everybody who listens to us live, but also thanks to everybody who listens downloaded later on in the week. We need you in order to be able to do this. So we really appreciate that you go into iTunes or you watch us on YouTube, however you do it. It's really helpful to us because we know that you're out there listening, and we're really glad that you come back every week and listen to us. And those times when we have a week off and I get a tweet from someone that says, "Hey, I missed the iMore show this week." It always makes me feel so good knowing that there are actually people listening and want to hear us every week. So thank you for that. And especially thanks to Jim Metzendorf for everything that he does for us. He makes us sound so great every week, and we really appreciate you, Jim. Joe, if people want to find you on the interwebs, where can they find you?
You can find me on Twitter at jkeller87. That's JKELLER 87. And I'm always writing on iMore. So
yes.
There I am.
And Georgia, how can people find you on the interwebs if they want to chat with you?
So if you want to chat, you can send me an email, georgia@westmounttherapy.com. I'm sometimes on Twitter at Georgia_Dow. And if you're dealing with anxiety or depression and want to do this without talking to me, just get like a video, you can head on down to anxiety-videos.com and download your own therapy.
And anxiety-videos.com is right now a really great place for you to go check out. If you're feeling anxiety, we're surrounded by it. And anytime you just start to feel like the world is a little bit heavy for you, definitely go visit Georgia, go download her videos, go listen to the things that she has to say that can help calm you and relax you. It really does help. So don't forget about that. And if you want to get in touch with me, you can find me at Appleholic on Twitter. That's APPAHOLIK. And you can find me at Lori Gill at most of the other social things on the interwebs. And we will see you all and talk to you all next week. Thank you so much. Goodbye.